What's up YouTube? My name's Kenneth. Today I'm going to show you guys my top 5 favorite puzzles. So for this list I'm going to show you guys my top 5 favorite mass-produced puzzles. And I'm not going to count the Rubik's Cube because the Rubik's Cube probably would be number 1 on just about everyone's list. So I'm not going to count that. And because it's mass-produced, I'm not going to count handmade puzzles that I like this one with my personalized stickers, the house cube. And I'm also not going to count puzzles that haven't been mass-produced yet, like the Crazy Pill or the Mix-Up Gear Cube. So anyway, let's start the list, starting with number 5. Coming in at number 5 is the Whit Eden Mix-Up Cube by Oscar Van Deventer. Now this puzzle is really cool. It's not just a Rubik's Cube. At first glance you might think all it does is turn like a Rubik's Cube. But what it does is it has a very unique turn to it. And the way you do that is you turn a center slice 45 degrees and then you just turn any outer layer, and what happens is the centers and the edges can switch place. So this used to be a center, but now you can see it's on an edge. And this, which is an edge, now turns as if it were a center, and so it mixes up, and that's why it's called a mix-up cube. Anyway, it spawned a bunch of puzzles in the same family. Now there's a bunch of different types of mix-up cubes, but this is the original mix-up cube. And I feel like it hasn't gotten very popular, but you know what? It's just a lot of fun to solve. I think it really adds to the solving experience, and I just really enjoy it. So that's why I picked it for number 5. Coming in at number 4 is the Gear Ball by Mefferts, and this uses the Gear Cube mechanism invented by Oscar Van Deventer. And out of all the puzzles that use that Gear Cube mechanism, this one by far is my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite is it just turns so well. You can hold it by centers, opposite centers like this, and turn the outer layer, and it turns the opposite layer because of the gears. And that's really cool. And the other ones don't do that because they just don't turn as well. But anyway, when I first got my first Gear Cube, I was totally impressed by this mechanism. The way that when you turn one side, it forces the opposite side to turn because of the gears. And it just blew me away, and it kind of got me back into cubing again a little bit more. And it was actually one of my first unboxings I did. Anyway, I really enjoy all the Gear Cubes, but this one by far is my favorite. It turns the best. I really like these tiles. My only real complaint is that they use purple instead of white. I wish this were white. But besides that, you know, it's a really great puzzle, and that's why I chose it for number 4. For number 3, I chose the Curvy Copter by Tom Z. Now this is a really cool puzzle. It turns along its edges like this, but it also has kind of a hidden move, and the hidden move is like this. And when you do this hidden move, it does something called jumbling, where it takes pieces out of their position and puts them in a different piece's position, and it causes all sorts of problems like bandaging. It makes it so that the puzzle doesn't turn properly. See, it kind of gets stuck, and if I want to turn this edge, I can't turn this edge because it's bandaged. And so the jumbling causes bandaging, and it causes pieces to get out of their orbits and put into orbits of other pieces. And so it causes a lot of problems. But what's really cool is that if you start turning this puzzle just like this with these kind of normal moves, and then you do a bunch of jumbling moves, and you finally get it back to a cube, then you can't just use these normal moves again to solve the puzzle. You actually have to use jumbling moves and these normal moves to solve the puzzle. So it makes it really difficult to solve, and it's just one I really enjoy, and I came up with my own solution for this one, and I've made tutorials on it. And anyway, I just think it's a cool puzzle, and it's definitely one I've enjoyed for a very long time, where a lot of puzzles I get and I play with and I have a lot of fun with them for a short amount of time. But this one I've had a lot of fun for a long time. So this one, actually, I almost put higher in the list, but I chose to put it at number 3. And they actually came out with an iteration on this puzzle. They came out with the Curvy Copter Plus, and I just did a video on this puzzle recently, and this is another fun puzzle that I very much enjoy. I think it's a nice iteration from the Curvy Copter, and if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably definitely go with the Curvy Copter, just because I've played with it for such a long time, and if I'm bored, I'll probably go back to this one. But this one does add a little bit more of a challenge. So anyway, that's the Curvy Copter. For number 2, I decided to take a risk and go with David's Gear Cube by Mefferts and Oscar Van Deventer. Now, the reason I say I took a risk is because it's such a new puzzle. I haven't had it for that long, but right now it's currently my most favorite. It's the one, if I want to pick up a puzzle today, this is the one I'm going to pick up. And the reason it's so cool, I think, is because it combines two types of movements. First, it does these moves, which are completely identical to a 2x2 cube. And then it combines with that this really unique corner twisting turn that causes every piece on this puzzle to turn. And so the gears cause everything to turn at once, and it can quickly mess up your puzzle, and it makes it really hard to track pieces as you're turning. So because of that, it becomes quite a challenge, and I think it's really cool. It turns great. It's a really unique mechanism, and for that reason, it's number 2 on my list, and currently it's my most favorite puzzle. Before I reveal the number 1 puzzle, I want to show you guys some of the honorable mentions that almost made the list. So here's the Ghost Cube, and the Ghost Cube is the newest addition to my collection, and it's definitely the hardest 3x3 mod that I own, and it's just really difficult to solve, but it's just a 3x3, and it's very challenging, and it just missed the list. Here I have the Gear Cube, and as I mentioned when I was talking about the Gear Ball, that the Gear Cube was the one that started all these gear puzzles, but I decided to go with the Gear Ball just because it turns better, and if I were to grab it today, I would go for that one first. So that's why this one just missed the cut. Here we have the Treasure Chest Cube, and the Treasure Chest is really a unique puzzle. What's cool about it is once it's solved, you can pop off the top and you can hide something inside. And if it weren't for these really kind of over-the-top tiles, it might have made the list. Here we have the Bump Cube, or the mirror blocks, and this is a really fun puzzle. And what's really cool about it is that even though it's just a Rubik's Cube, it's kind of hard to solve. And it's probably the only puzzle I own that my twin brother might be able to beat me at. And so that's probably why I didn't make the list, but don't tell him I said that. So here's the Gear Shift. The Gear Shift is probably the most unique puzzle on this list, and I love the way that you can pull it apart, spin it, and slap it down, and you don't have to really worry about it being in the right place. It just works. And it's just a really unique puzzle, and it's a fun one. I'm really glad I figured out how to solve it. I have a tutorial for it as well, and it's actually really easy to solve. And so because of that, I think it's just really great, and I don't know why I didn't put it in the top 5. It's definitely one of my favorites. And last we have the 3x4x5, which is a cuboid by Tom Z, and it's one of my favorite cuboids. And what I like about it is that it's different. It has a different number of cubies on each side. So we have a 3x4x5, and it also shape shifts, but it shape shifts a little bit different than some of the other shape shifting cuboids, and that's because it only shape shifts in 2 directions. Which is really cool. Anyway, I really like this puzzle, but it didn't make the list probably because the complexity is a little bit high, and so it's not one that I want to just grab and play with for 5 minutes because it'll take me longer to solve. So that's why I didn't make the list, but it's definitely one of my top cuboids. My number 1 puzzle is the 3x3x5, and this one is a Calvin's puzzle from HK Now Store, and I've been playing with 3x3x5s for a very long time, and this one kind of is a more recent puzzle, but before this one was mass produced, the only way to get one was to hand make one, and so this is one that I handmade, and it's been a fun puzzle to have for a long time. And I like that it's proportional. What's fun about a 3x3x5 is that it has all the fun aspects that cuboids have without being overly complex. So it's not too high of an order, but it has the shape shifting, which is a lot of fun, which makes it act like 2 puzzles. First a 3x3x5, how you'd expect, and then when you shape shift it, it turns like a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. And so it's fun that it has both of those aspects. And then it's just the right amount of complexity for me. So it's not too overly tedious. And the solving is just fun, and you're continually doing something different and new as you're solving it, and so the solving experience is just so much fun that it's been my favorite puzzle that's besides the Rubik's Cube, and so that's why I put it for number 1. The puzzle did have a few issues. The corner stock actually broke on this one, and I had to contact Calvin from HK Now Store, and he sent me a replacement. So that's the only problem with this puzzle, but besides that, the 3x3x5 is my favorite. So I'm curious to see what you guys think of my top 5 puzzles. Let me know what you would have picked. What's your favorite puzzles? I'd love to know. So leave a comment down below. And that's it. So thanks guys for watching. I do come out with new videos at least every other weekend. So be sure to stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't already. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and of course, have a great day.